I got three primary concerns, big dog. The first one is if he doesn't start right away. Let's assume he goes to the Niners and he doesn't start right away. You know what they say about idle time in the church?
What?
Idle time is the devil's playground now.
It is.
Now, we've already seen it with Mac Jones. He was highly touted, given a lot coming into Alabama, four-star recruit. He didn't have to start right away. Jalen Hurts was there. Tua Tagovailoa was there. What happened? Idle time, devil's playground, DUI. I told you about that yesterday. Won't get into it again. But Mac Jones, freshman year, DUI, idle time, devil's playground. What happens if now, number 3 overall pick, you bred it up and you ain't got to start?
I'm listening.
You living the best life position in the world. It's that backup quarterback. So that's my first primary concern. My second concern is this. In the NFL, 24% of games are 3 points or less. 51% of games are decided by 7 points or less.
Okay.
Mac Jones only played one game last year within 7 points. That was the SEC championship game against Florida. Outside of that, his next closest game was a 15-point game against Ole Miss. Mac Jones, you're not about to walk out every game this year and be leading in the fourth quarter. Mac Jones was only playing a game within one possession in the third quarter, and that was once. Every game in the fourth quarter, it wasn't even close. Okay. It was just Alabama out there whooping them cats. That's different. That's different in the NFL.
Whoop them cats.
And my final concern, against Michigan in the bowl game last year, Mac Jones rolled out Devontae Smith, Heisman winner, Jerry Jeudy, first-round pick wide receiver, Henry Ruggs, first-round pick wide receiver, Jalen Waddle, first-round pick wide receiver, about to be.
Sound like an NFL team.
Najee Harris, about to be a first-round pick at running back. So Mac Jones rolled out there against a bunch of Michigan DBs that are not known for their speed with a Heisman winner, a first-round pick, a first-round pick, a first-round pick, turn around behind him, a first-round pick. That's not what you got in San Fran, big dog. You got George Kittle. Prayerfully, he stays healthy. You got my dog Raheem Mostert. That's a beast at running back. He's a speed burner. And then out at wide receiver, you got Ayuk. That's about it. That's where it starts and where it stops right there for the 49ers. You don't have first round. You got Kittle, you got first round, and you got a burner behind you. Mind you, you're playing against 2 Pro Bowl safeties twice a year in Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams. That's just for the Seahawks. I ain't even talk about Budda Baker, Pro Bowl safety, all-pro safety for the 49ers, for the Arizona Cardinals. I haven't even gotten there yet. So the plethora of talent and the talent disparity that Mac Jones had is my third and final concern.
Okay, I had to list all those concerns right now, and I wrote them down here because I don't have any concerns, so I had to write down what you have. And you know what? Being the married man up here, being in so many relationships, including engagements, I realize what you have. You have no concerns. You just got complaints. And you know what? I'm telling you, when you're in high society, these are first world problems. These are all complaints.
What's the difference, big
What's
dog?
the difference? Okay, a concern is not a first world problem. It's a third world problem. You know what? Are we going to eat? Like, simple. You got this complaint. What is there to eat? You got this complaint. I don't want that. That doesn't go with that. I don't like this. I want ground chicken. I don't want ground beef. Dog, you just gave me luxurious concerns, which are complaints in my world. My wife does this a lot. I do it too. All right. You just went through a relationship. Beautiful woman. Oh, Acho finally found her. And he's scared to tell his boys because they're going to laugh. Like, yeah, right. Get to know her. Then you're getting to know her. And you're like, oh, my God, amazing. And then you're like, I'm still scared to tell everybody because I just don't want to look like that guy who's in front of his skis, just all in love, sucker for love, as they say. But damn, dog, you get to a place where you're overcritical, overanalyzing to the point where you are trying to turn these concerns you're making up into complaints. Let me tell you why. I was a second-round draft choice who didn't get off the bench, and I ain't getting no DUIs. I had a Buffalo Bills flag on an expedition riding through Crenshaw, and I ain't getting any trouble. Look, he's going to live his life. Mac Jones going to be excited. I'm going through all your complaints. No tight games. I've never heard anybody in sports history do a better job of turning a positive into a negative than you just did right there.
It's a concern.
It sounds great. Oh, he ain't even playing any tight games. What's he going to do when he get in tight games? I think he's going to do what he did because he did it in college. He made sure that the games weren't tight, and if they were, I'm going to get us back to a point where it's not in contention. That's a positive. It's good to not be in tight games when you're going against competition that is top level, top notch, and you're still better than that because the cream rises to the top. So in the NFL, obviously, it's going to be more contentious. We get that. But don't act like this guy doesn't have it because of the talent around him. You almost use the talent around him to undermine how great he is instead of saying he's just as good as the talent around him and he made it better. If not, why is he setting Alabama school records at the quarterback position? They've had quarterbacks before. We know about Tua, we know about Jalen Hurts, et cetera. And he's better than those guys in some statistics and some categories. I remind you, of all these quarterbacks that are littering the draft this year, who's number one in terms of completion percentage? Who's number one in terms of passer rate? Number one in all of college. Him, Mac Jones. When you talk about him, who is second in passing touchdowns? All these things considered, he was the best of the best at the best school. Please don't turn that into a concern. Oh, sorry, Acho, into a complaint. Got to bring in Fox College football analyst Joe Klatt. So, Joe, what concerns or complaints you have the most about Mac Jones?
You know what? I mean, I'm having a hard time concentrating because I'm just thinking about dinner time in my household with my 9, 7, and 4-year-old and thinking about this one wants chicken nuggets, this one wants mac and cheese. And I'm like, that's 100% what I've got going on right now. So, Marcellus, you just took me right to that first world problem of dinner time. Yes. And to your point, listen, and I was going to come on here and say, you know, like, well, man, his teammates are too good. You know, like that's my concern. I was going to say that, but that is a first world problem. So here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Here's what I'm going to do.
Talk to me.
I'm going to just change the verbiage, and I think then it makes sense.
All right.
It's no longer my concern. It is just an unknown. We don't know how Mac could potentially play when the chips are even on the table, right, and he's doesn't have the stacked deck, right? Because listen, everything that Emmanuel said is absolutely correct. You know, he did have all those first rounders last year. He did have an excellent play caller this year. And it comes down to this, guys, when you're the trigger man, right? When you're the quarterback, it's like apples and oranges. The games in which you can go out there and you can do things because you want to do them. You know, we're balanced. We can run it. We can throw it when we want to. And when you have to do things because you have to do them. Okay, there is a massive difference between the two from a quarterback's perspective, from the pressure on the quarterback. It might not feel all that different for everybody else. You're just executing the details of what's called out there, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But when you're the quarterback and you get into a game and you don't have the ability to be balanced, you don't have the ability to create third and short, you don't have the ability to play with the lead, those things create an immense amount of pressure, and we just don't quite know how Mac is going to deal with that. Now, I love his game, and in the middle of the year, before anyone else was saying this, guys, I was saying, hey, Mac Jones is playing himself into the first round. My one concern, and this is where I'll move to concern, Marcellus, is that he's not better than Lance or Fields. So my concern is that he would get overdrafted and overvalued. I just don't think that he has the value to get selected over those two players specifically.